I'd now like to introduce our Managing Director, Graham Walker, who's going to talk a bit about our organisation, our capabilities in transport, and also how communication and collaboration technologies are going to, we think, assist in delivering and overcoming some of the challenges that exist, that we've just spoken about, and some of those challenges which are emerging in the passenger transport arena. Graham.
Thank you, Phil. Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you for actually being here today. And Simon, thank you for that enlightening and entertaining presentation, which I won't endeavour to compete with, that's for sure. But I think there was some important underlying messages there in terms of, in terms of this whole passenger experience, and I guess what your business and your industries are really trying to do in terms of drive that experience and improve that experience. And I think the important thing for us that Simon was bringing out, I think, was the importance of communication in that process, and a two-way communication. As I say, my job is not to compete with Simon today. My job really is to tell you a little bit about Siemens Enterprise Communications, just to talk about some of the trends that our business and your businesses are facing, and how we're having to adapt our strategies to actually meet those trends, and giving you a little insight into how I think our organisation can help you. And clearly the rest of the day is going to be focused very much on that latter part, about understanding our capabilities and how it relates to the challenges that you face. I mean, this is a sort of a slogan that we've adopted in terms of adapt. I mean, it's not quite adapt or die. That's probably a bit too strong, if you like. But all organisations are having to adapt to changes in their marketplaces and changes in their environment. Whether that's driven from the economic situation, the political situation, the environment itself, our competitors, and more importantly, our customers. We're all having to adapt. And I guess in the business world, that comes down to a number of challenges that we all face. Generally we're all tasked with reducing our operating costs, whilst at the same time driving customer satisfaction, customer loyalty, increasing our operating efficiency, and above all, I guess from our shareholders' perspective, increasing the returns to our shareholders. And that's an interesting set of parameters, and it's a very difficult circle to square. And I guess you won't be surprised or shocked to know that we're not going to square that circle here today, but maybe we can give you a few ideas how we can help you in terms of that endeavour of squaring that circle. So if we just sort of move on to talk a little bit about, here we go, yeah, the Siemens organisation. Basically, in terms of the enterprise business, we're part of the Siemens organisation, which is a huge multinational conglomerate, if you like, probably 450,000 people we employ worldwide. The communications business has got a 49% shareholding from Siemens, and a 51% shareholding from a private equity company called Gores. And we've got a wealth of experience, I think, as Phil alluded to, in the whole communications field over the last sort of 150 years. But actually we've got a fair pedigree in terms of the whole transport sector, in terms of what we do. We provide a range of communication products and services right away across the globe. In terms of actually from basic, voice communication to a lot of, organisations like yours, to sophisticated IP communication solutions that we provide for the likes of Lufthansa, for full unified communications that we provide to the likes of Azul down in Latin America. Managed services is a core element of our proposition. We run Brussels Airport in terms of the communications there, and we manage that whole infrastructure against defined SLAs and against defined cost targets with shared benefit arrangements in terms of that. We provide command and control and dispatch systems to a lot of the airlines and a lot of the actual rail companies as well around the world. And we provide, complete integrated systems together with our sister Siemens businesses, like Shanghai Airport and Munich Airport. And that's everything from heating, lighting, building control, baggage handling, integrated IT systems to the communications. We actually do have that capability, and it's huge. But in terms of the enterprise business itself, for which I'm responsible in the UK, then globally we're about 2.5 billion. And essentially we employ about 12,000 people worldwide. We operate directly in about 30 countries plus. And our whole focus is around communications and collaborations. It's about the products and the services that actually enable those capabilities for organizations like yourselves. And that's our specialist subject. But as I said, we will work with our sister organizations in providing sort of broader communication solutions. We talked earlier about, if you like, the change that's going on in the marketplace and that we're all faced with. And there are a number of drivers for that. There are things like mega trends. And if you read any of the Siemens literature, I think it will almost claim to have identified these mega trends. Well, it certainly hasn't identified the mega trends. But I'll tell you, it has adapted its strategy in the light of these trends. And clearly, I'm sure that your industries are absolutely doing the same thing. But if you look at this growing population and changing demographics, i.e. more people and actually they're living longer. For Siemens, that's absolutely front and center in terms of what we do in terms of our healthcare strategy. It's why we're in the healthcare business, because of that mega trend. Clearly, from a transportation point of view, more people means more demand for individual travel, but it's about all the goods and services that need to be moved around the globe to actually support that growing population. So it's a key influencer, I think, on your business. Urbanization, for us, that again is front and center as to why we're in the energy business, and that's from power generation to distribution to the actual measuring and metering of it. If I actually look at the transportation business, we've got cities the size of New York being created every year. The demand for actually, that urbanization transport systems is ever increasing. The demand for transportation actually between those urban areas and within growing urban areas. It's fueling and actually driving your sector in a different way to ours, but actually it's a mega trend that is really impacting on us. This whole thing about the environment and climate, yeah, again, for you, it's a biggest issue, particularly in the airline industry, but government policy actually driving more greener ways of travel is one that actually we have to be cognizant of and have to respond to. The trend around security, this is probably an unfortunate trend over the last 10, 15 years that we're all been faced with. For us, it's very much around, if you like, that logical security and about providing secure systems and protection of data, which we do for a large number of organizations around the world. Clearly, for the transport sector, then it's obviously a lot more about it's about the logical, but it's also about the physical security as well, in terms of, particularly in terms of your passengers. So these mega trends are actually influencing our strategy and driving our business. We clearly have the customer, who is a major influencer and driver of change. They are becoming more discerning. They are actually becoming of higher expectation in terms of the quality of service and value for money that they want out of all our industries, and particularly in terms of the transport industry. And if they're being driven to actually pay higher prices, they want better service. They want more services. And one of the key influences, I think, is going to be around this is actually going to be the use of technology, and particularly in terms of things like smartphones. You can see there the potential 8-fold increase in the number of smartphones that are going to be out there. In terms of enhancing that customer experience that Simon referred to, it is about actually getting information, it is about being made aware of situations, but increasingly I think it's going to be about the consumer demanding to be able to interact, not just one-way communication. It clearly, in terms of actually home-based communications, the consumer can book online, etc. It's going to want to do it in a mobile environment. It's going to want to do it off its smartphone. The consumer's going to want to be able to book, modify, enhance, change all its travel plans and see it and do it in real time, any place, anywhere. And the smartphone's got a big part to play in that. Interestingly, in terms of this, NFC capability, which is near field communications, and this is about the ability to actually pay from your mobile phone. A vast number of actually the phones that have been shipped today actually have this embedded today, and where you'll see it coming out is this whole wave and pay capability with your mobile phone. It's there embedded in the phones today. What it's waiting for is the billing systems. And the consumers are going to actually demand to actually pay and actually sort of, move their sort of propositions forward in this way. Clearly, there are business drivers, and these are common to a lot of us here in terms of we all know it's basically more effective to keep customers than actually attract new ones, and we've got to find new ways of driving that loyalty and driving that satisfaction on the quality of the service, the quality of the information, the quality of the communication that we provide. All businesses are faced with growing their revenues, and from the transport's point of view, you're kind of getting more and more of the share of that pound that is spent on a journey from end to end, from leaving home to heading to the destination to getting back home. Actually, your industries are looking for a bigger share and a better share of that pound. Driving cost out of our business, making us more efficient, is clearly a driver for us all, but also looking into new markets. How can we grow revenue streams? How can we actually form alliances with our competitors in some instances, but also related business, related industries? How can we actually push new products and new services related to ours to our customer base and drive revenue? So they're all drivers that are going on in your sector and my sector. And I guess in terms of where we come at this is that we think we can help in some of those areas. I mean, the mega trends are, as they say, mega trends, huge influences on our businesses. But I think, when you start to look at the scale and the scope of Siemens as an entity in terms of what it can do in integrated solutions for your organizations, as I say, right the way through from heating, lighting, building control to communications to actually, the train infrastructure itself to the whole IT systems and integrating that, then, we can deal with some of these mega trends and we can take advantage of them. From the customer point of view, it is about providing information, but it's not just about being reactive. And I think, that's where Simon was coming from. It is about being proactive. It is about actually having this push and pull of information. And I think our capability and technologies can aid and abet that in terms of actually enhancing that whole customer experience. It's not just about informing a customer that actually there's going to be a delay. It is, as Simon said, giving an explanation as to why that delay. But perhaps more importantly, actually giving them options about what they can do about that delay. And I think our capability and technology can move that forward. It's about doing that as well in a multimedia environment. It's not just about voice where we are. It is about data. It is about email. It is about video. And increasingly, it's about social media. And it's about how we integrate our solutions and information flows into Twitter, into Facebook, because this is what actually the generations of today are utilizing. And you'll see some of that in terms of how we can integrate our communication solutions into Twitter and so forth today. And then clearly, we've got the business aspects to that. And, we've talked about driving our costs down. Then in terms of driving the cost down of your communications infrastructure, then we can do that in terms of the infrastructure itself, in terms of the services we provide, by virtualizing, the new services that we actually bring in as we replace legacies. Our services actually and our offerings basically enhance organizations in terms of giving you the ability to work flexibly, in terms of actually therefore driving down your real estate costs and actually getting people to actually work in a flexible way from home or wherever is convenient. And also in terms of driving sort of better levels of, if you like, customer retention and customer experience, automating more and more, if you like, that whole acquisition process of the ticket, of the actual sort of that passenger experience, and actually enabling self-service. And finally, as I say, in terms of actually trying to drive new revenue streams for your organizations, in terms of providing communication links between sort of ancillary sort of revenue opportunities and ancillary services, forging links between the airlines and between the airport operators, forging links between the train operators and actually the retail outlets on the concourse, etc., and sharing those services around there. So I think those are some of the ways that I think we can help you deal with some of the industry trends. And as I say, we're not going to completely solve your this whole problem of actually driving efficiency while reducing cost and improving customer satisfaction. But I think we can impact to a degree, and I think we can help you in terms of that. And that's really what we're going to try and set out to actually shed some more light on as the day goes forth.